Hello, it's Mr. Potensky again. We're looking at some definitions so we can do problems 5, 6, and 10. So we're going to start with the most basic type of number and numbering system. That is the natural number. So that's our counting numbers. And we start counting by 1, 2. It's how they used to count their goats or their sheep. They'd tie the knots in a rope so they knew that that was how many sheep they had, and they go through and counting. And then the next group of numbers is whole numbers. So that is all of those natural or counting numbers and zero. So one way to remember that is the O in whole. We're thinking, oh, we put that O in there, so the zero. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Then after that, we have our integers. So that's going to be all of those whole numbers and their opposites. So if we're looking at starting right in the middle at 0, we can go 0, -1, -2, -3, and keep going off in the direction to the left if we're thinking on that number line. Or we can keep going off in the direction to the right, 0, 1, 2, 3, and be able to go from there. So those are our integers. The next two groups, rational and irrational, they make up all of the real numbers. So we haven't quite talked about real, um, but our rational and irrational. So our irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be written as a function of two integers. So um, that's going to be like square root of 3, square root of 5. So our square roots, pi, um, other numbers that don't repeat are going to be those irrational numbers. Now, our rational number is going to be numbers that can be expressed as a fraction of two integers. So that's going to be any time we have a repeating, anytime we have a terminating decimal. Our whole numbers, counting numbers, integers, they are all rational. Okay, so if they are in these three groups we discussed first, they are rational. Okay, so repeating decimals again, and it could repeat 1, 3, 5, 10 digits. Okay, if we know those digits repeat, then it can be expressed as a fraction of two integers. So things to think about is to remember that fraction part. Ratio. Remember, ratios can be written as a fraction. Okay, so that's one way to remember that. So um, that is going to be those notes, and then make sure you're looking at the number to know is it which of these categories does it fall in? Because if it falls in natural, then it's going to fall in rational. But if it falls in natural or whole or integer, it will not fall in irrational. So if we can say it doesn't fall in any of these, then we know that it's irrational. Um, and just that last, I'm going to repeat that numbers are numbers that are real numbers are either irrational or rational. Yes, we'll cover later imaginary, um, but that's an entirely different subject.